I'm Kevin Dorn. Tonight on Fox Rochester News First at 10, Ted Scardino and Joe Hofstetter are well on the road to recovery. But today the firefighters opened up about what happened on Christmas Eve in Webster. We've got team coverage. A Parenton man takes a plea deal in the death of his wife last fall. Mixed martial arts is a step closer to coming to the state of New York. We've got news from Albany. Amanda?
Kevin, a lot of low-grade clouds today, even a few spritzes of rain over the past couple of hours. The good news, they're moving out of the region, but we'll keep the cloudy skies throughout tonight. For tomorrow, most of the day, not too bad. Temperatures in the 30s, perhaps a stray snow shower in here late in the day. What does the weekend look like, though? We'll tell you in just a couple of minutes. Fox News First at 10 starts now.
From WUHF TV, this is Fox Rochester News First at 10 in high definition.
The community has just been wonderful to us.
The support from Rochester, the nation, the world really has been unbelievable.
A humbling moment for two West Webster firefighters who were shot on Christmas Eve. Tonight they are thanking everyone for the well wishes, the fundraisers, and the prayers. Good evening. 2.5 months later, those shootings are still very raw for the entire West Webster Fire Department. But today, a big step forward in the healing process. For the first time, wounded firefighters Ted Scardino and Joe Hofstetter are talking about turning a negative into a positive. And we've got special coverage for you tonight, starting with Vanessa Herring. Vanessa?
Well, Kevin, Ted Scardino and Joe Hofstetter say they didn't even really know each other before Christmas Eve, and now they have an undeniable bond. Today, they thank the community for its support. They talked about their recovery and their desire to get back to firefighting. West Webster firefighters Joe Hofstetter and Ted Scardino have been silent about what happened Christmas Eve until today.
The support from Rochester, the nation, the world really has been unbelievable. It means a lot to myself and my family.
Both men were ambushed responding to a fire call on Lake Road.
I heard pop, 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 and thought it was tires, shocks in the car. Within a second of the first pop, Chip says we're getting shot at.
Firefighters Mike Ciparini and Tomas Kachufka were shot and killed. Thousands paid their respects at their funerals. Thousands of others helped with fundraisers. And Hofstetter and Scardino are happily amazed the tragedy has brought out the best in so many people.
One negative act was way overshadowed by tons and tons of support.
Both men are shy about being called heroes, but are proud they've inspired others to become volunteers in West Webster and other fire departments.
If we encourage people to volunteer their time and to give that support to their community, I mean, it's a great thing.
And they're touched by what's being called the West Webster provision in the New York SAFE Act, calling for the maximum penalty for anyone convicted of murdering a first responder.
Hopefully that it'll make people that are going to do insane things like this think twice. Although, in this case, he was a coward and killed himself, it wouldn't have applied, but I think it's a good thing.
As they look forward, they hope their injuries won't hold them back much longer.
I'm telling myself to be patient. I'm an impatient person, and I was ready to go back weeks ago, but I just remind myself that it's a long process and to just keep working hard, and hopefully the day will come, sooner than later.
While optimistic about the future, they know things will never be the same.
It's going to be different. It's going to be strange. It was something you never thought of. Now you may be looking over your shoulder when you respond to a call.
Both men still have months of physical therapy ahead of them, and Kevin, they say they attend those sessions a couple times a week.
Both veteran firefighters. What keeps them motivated, do they say?
Well, they really say it's been the support from the community. People have been reaching out ever since that day, and that's really kept them motivated to take that recovery head on.
Okay, Vanessa Herring, thank you. No first responder expects to be shot answering an emergency call. Well, today, Joe Hofstetter and Ted Scardino recalled what happened the morning they were shot. Hofstetter made a 911 call after he was shot that probably saved the lives of several more people.
It still seems just kind of crazy, you go to a car fire in the middle of the night, you never expect what happened to happen,
But I'm not sure. 2 down. Yes, they're down and not good. I'm in the danger zone right now, and I need a meeting, so I'm going to be joining them. Any word from the police on status of shooter location? Any ideas?
I didn't know where the shooter was. My assumption was he was in the house. It was a nightmare, wondering what was going to be next. And, there was nobody around. I didn't hear anything. I didn't know what was going on. All I did was just lay there.
I didn't know what was happening until literally right before I was shot. Honestly, I thought we'd show up, put the car out, tear apart the outside of the wall of the house a little bit and be done. Figured I'd be back home in an hour.
This is goofy, but is it possible to notify my next of kin in person of the situation? I have an hysterical mother.
I've said before, but this was a negative act, but for me, since that day, it's been nothing but positive experiences from the people I've met, the people I've reconnected with, and just the caring and compassion that everybody in this community has shown us. It's been unbelievable and helpful.
Now, earlier today on News 8, I sat down with the Hofstetter family at the West Webster Fire Hall. And the hysterical mother Joe was referring to in that 911 call, Maria, says their hearts are full of thanks and they will be forever grateful to the people who support them and the families of the other firefighters.
It's incredible. There is just nothing, there are no words that can possibly express what it's meant to all of us. And again, it's not just about us. It's just, I think people are being kinder to each other. They're paying it forward, not just to the families that were impacted, but outside of Webster, outside of Rochester.
And fire departments across our region have seen a jump in volunteer applications since those shootings. The West Webster Fire Department is now at full capacity with 125 volunteers, and there are many more on a waiting list. Our team coverage continues with Caroline Tucker, who has the story of a new recruit and why he was motivated to help.
Volunteer firefighters come from many walks of life. They might be your coworker, your doctor, or cashier. And the West Webster Fire Department has learned quickly that there are many who are willing to wait to join their ranks.
How's everybody? You guys had a good morning so far?
It's just about lunchtime at Willink Middle School. The school's assistant principal,
how's everything going? Good. Awesome.
Is known just as Mr. Zimmer.
I get to give back to the students. I get to give to our teachers and find ways to help make Webster schools great.
Outside of school, you'll find Brian Zimmer wearing a different kind of hat.
I've been able to help the people in their worst times and make it better. And even if it's just something as simple as saving something precious, a family photo, that's gratifying.
He's one of West Webster's newest firefighters.
After a year, I'll get one that has my firefighter number as well as my name on there.
He signed up in July but had to wait. Then the West Webster tragedy happened.
It put that itch back a little bit more that I wanted to do it immediately.
Zimmer served in Gates for 7 years. He was a fire lieutenant and commissioner. He idolized his firefighting dad and uncle.
Grew up around it as a little kid, always used to watch the fire trucks rolling out of the door.
Al Sankowitz from the West Webster Fire Department says Zimmer is the ideal volunteer.
He understands the commitment. He's not getting into it blind. He knows what he's getting into. He knows he's getting into a busy department. So he knows what's ahead of him, and we appreciate his experience and training from the past.
There still is a waiting list.
They could be on the waiting list for 6 months or a year, quite frankly, before spots open up.
Zimmer says the wait is worth it.
I'm proud to wear this uniform, and it's great to be part of this organization.
The West Webster Fire Department has a half dozen people on its waiting list and counting. Joseph Hofstetter says he's honored that others want to join this department because of his and others' service. In West Webster, Caroline Tucker, Fox First at 10.
Of course, other local fire departments do need help. If you can volunteer, your time is appreciated. And we cannot forget about the 2 firefighters who died in the Webster tragedy. Mike Ciparini, a lieutenant in the Webster Police Department and a volunteer firefighter, and 19-year-old Tomas Kachuvka, a rookie, but being a first responder was his dream. He worked at the Monroe County 911 Dispatch Center. Those shootings Christmas Eve impacted the entire community of Webster. And coming up later in the newscast, Ashley Zilka goes back to the scene of the crime to see how neighbors have changed since Christmas Eve. There are some new developments out of Albany tonight. The state Senate has passed legislation to lift a ban on mixed martial arts. This bill passed 47-15. The proposal could bring professional competitions to the state, including the Ultimate Fighting Championship. 47 states now allow MMA, which is said to be the fastest growing sport in the U.S. The bill now moves on to the Assembly. Meanwhile, the Assembly today approved a 2-year moratorium on hydrofracking. The legislation would halt hydrofracking permits until May of 2015, giving more time to study the health and safety impacts of natural gas drilling. Yesterday, a 5-member group of breakaway Democratic senators also proposed legislation for an additional 2 years to review the potential health impacts.
Now, Rochester's most accurate forecast.
Amanda Gabler in for Scotty tonight. Glad you're here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Not a bad day today. A few raindrops this evening.
Yeah, now we had a few glimpses of sunshine, and we haven't seen much of it over the last week. Yes, it was a plethora, and that's typical March-like weather. Yeah. And same thing for tonight. We have temperatures just above the freezing mark. We did have some sprinkles out there. It's currently 36 in the city of Rochester, 35 in Dansville. Looking at the mid-30s generally everywhere. Those showers that we had around a couple of hours ago have since passed off to our west, so we're not too concerned with that. What we're looking at for the next about 24 hours, another chance for some snow showers tomorrow afternoon, but the good news is those temperatures will warm up towards the end of the week. We could be talking about 50 by Sunday.
Oh my gosh, there's hope for the St. Patrick's Day Parade.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, thanks Amanda. See you in a couple of minutes. This just into the newsroom. A suspect is now in custody accused of killing a New York couple and their unborn child. 44-year-old Julio Acevedo surrendered to police today in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Police say Acevedo crashed into the side of a cab that was carrying the couple early Sunday, killing them both. They were on their way to the hospital to have the baby. The baby boy was delivered, but died from his injuries the next day. Acevedo is awaiting extradition back to the state of New York. A parented man has pleaded guilty to killing his wife last September. Douglas Irish pleaded guilty to manslaughter in the death of his wife, Patricia. Prosecutors say he tried to kill himself after killing Patricia on September 30th of 2011. Irish will be sentenced next month. He will spend 25 years in prison. As a condition of his plea, he has waived his right to an appeal. A Rochester woman who was stabbed this past January downtown has now died from her injuries. Police say Doreen Hildebrandt was stabbed in this apartment building on St. Paul Street January 29th. 47-year-old Dennis McFadden is charged with the stabbing. He was facing assault charges. The district attorney's office will now submit the case to a grand jury and expects him to be charged with murder. Police have another stabbing investigation on their hands. An officer was flagged down in the 700 block of North Clinton Avenue around 3 o'clock this afternoon, and police say the victim was taken to Strong Hospital with several stab wounds. We do not know if it was a man or a woman. It's believed the confrontation started with an argument. No arrests have been made. If you have information, you are asked to call 911. Please don't go away. We are just getting started on Fox Tonight. They spend more time in planes than anyone, and they're not happy that TSA is going to allow pocket knives on flights from now on. Hear what they plan to do about it. And later in Sports Extra, more bad injury news for the Yankees in the preseason. John's got the story. But next, a warning from the CDC. A nightmare bacteria is showing up in hospitals and nursing homes.
You're watching Kevin Doran, Chief Meteorologist Scott Hetzko, Sports Director John Kutchko. This is Fox Rochester News, first at 10 in high definition.